Alright, I think we're live. So is there anything you'd like to discuss?
I am trying to get more exposure to Python development in general. I haven't coded in C in a very long time, but you know, I did in grad school, and I think I could again one day. So I think what I want to do is just continue to attend the calls like this, and really any call where there's development going on. And documentation seems to be the most accessible, because I don't really know how all of like the preprocessor things work in like the Python stack. So I figure if I just stay engaged on this, maybe I can find some open threads that you leave on these calls and I can take them. That could be like my entry into contributing more. And then that could lead to me getting more and more comfortable with the actual code and then going from there.
Okay. So you're saying I should leave more threads open, right?
Yes, you know, I'm not joking. I am keeping a keen eye out for things that I could take on.
All right. Not promising that'll happen today, but I'll try to leave something open.
Okay. I'm also I'm a triager now, so I'm in the Discord channel, and so if you want to message me there or just at me in the triage panel or something, if you think of something throughout, you know, the week, we could do that. But otherwise, I'll attempt to come here and spend the first 30 minutes of each Wednesday morning with you.
Ah, I see. It's morning for you. All right, that sounds good. So I guess not much has happened since last time. And we're trying to make this documentation for string lexical analysis better. But I guess you weren't here for the full 2 hours last time, right?
No, in the first half hour, we just merged the PR where the documentation was rewritten, so the prose was more intermingled instead of the definitions being front-loaded.
Right. Okay, so we're continuing with that. See lexical analysis. And the changes in the current branch, which, for the record, you can find on GitHub under Lex Analysis Strings, well, on my GitHub fork under Lex Analysis Strings if you want to look at it at any time. So the changes in this branch are reworking the table of contents. Let's compare that to this. Right, so this has lexical analysis, line structure, other tokens, identifiers, keywords, and then literals, operators and delimiters. And this kind of breaks out the strings and byte literals and the numeric literals, so there's more space for subsections. And then we go on to strings and byte literals. And this has the same structure as the numeric ones. So start with the simple stuff and continue with the not so simple stuff. So simple strings, you can use other quotes. The backslash introduces an escape sequence. There's a full list below. Then there are triple quoted strings that allow new lines, and then there are string prefixes, a big table of them. And then we go on to the formal grammar, which I'm proud of now. I think it works really well. Oh, hi Blaze. Are you trying to say something?
No, sorry. I'm just moving around getting ready. I meant to be quiet.
Great.
Good morning, good morning.
Just making sure everything you want to be heard is heard. Hello. Okay, so that's formal grammar. Then we have escape sequences, which used to be two tables, like two tables with the same headings but different columns, and a bunch of notes. So now it's one table with links to descriptions, because the notes were kind of big, so I figure they would work better in prose. I'm not sure if they need to be in the table of contents, but why not? I think that works nicely, and then we go on to bytes literals and raw string literals and f strings. So these are links from the string prefixes: bytes literals, raw strings, formatted literals, and then template string literals. I guess this escape sequence can link to octal or hexadecimal. Does Python have the \0? Yes. Huh. So apparently this table is not complete. No, it's the character with the octal value 0. Right. Which is up to 3 octal digits. I wonder if we should make \0 special. No, we shouldn't. Okay, \0 is a special case of the octal sequence. And I would in restructured text you can't really have monospace font inside a link, right? I think there's some way to do it, but it's not really straightforward. And of course the slash, it gets eaten up. Oh well.
Yeah, I think you would probably have to switch to the monospace before you began the link.
But then I can't make the link,
exactly.
right? Yeah. Okay, this works. Right, and then we go to string literals. Escape sequences, escapes. How did that get in?
I do have a question about the /0 you just did. This is under the byte literal section, but this is a string, right? Not byte. /0.
Well, you can use \0 in strings or in bytes.
Oh, I see. Okay, so if you prefix it with B, then it's a byte string. Otherwise, it's a string.
Yes. And I think, we should also add some examples, right?
Yeah, like B \0 or, I don't know.
Something like this. Or what would be a good example for bytes?
The only edge case I can think of is \0 for bytes. Everything else, maybe an emoji or something, if you're trying to demonstrate how it looks as bytes. But I don't know.
No, you don't have emoji for emojis in bytes. Well, something real world like the PNG header. Like these bytes.
Or maybe a graphic. What about like an ASCII control code? Like the bell? Or no?
So if I do this, would that work as an example?
I can't think of anything, but I'll ask in the general channel to see if somebody has an idea.
I think this works. And then we could do maybe a regular expression for raw string literals.
Yeah, I just ran into this in another programming language called Elm, where we were trying to escape. We had a backslash that we wanted in the regex, and we had to escape it, and there was no raw string equivalent in Elm that Python has. I think something like that can showcase the coolness of the raw string.
But I guess B is an escape sequence, right? We don't want. What should we showcase from the RE module? D. Ah, right. The date format. D4, D2, D2. Something like this.
Hey Adam, can you think of a good example of a bytes raw string literal?
How so?
Oh, just something to show, you know. If you're reading about bytes literals for the first time, what would you want to see here? Ideally something. Excuse me?
RB.
Oh, RB.
RB is only for a raw byte string, rather than either a byte string or a raw string. I mean, you could do new lines, often like, I know, processing text, but regular expression pattern also seems fine. Yeah. Don't.
Okay, so this should be fine as it is, except the tux. Yeah, that looks fine. Okay, which means we get to F strings, and yeah, I wonder if this should all be in the same commit. Let's see what's left. So there's a bunch of index entries about physical lines, escape sequence, standard C. And see, this was written a long time ago. I think these go on top of escape sequences. And there used to be indexes about. Oh, these are for F strings. Alright, so F strings.
I don't have. Just before you start in earnest on F strings, I think from memory that the documentation for F strings was sort of very patchy initially. So from memory, I think there's one in the reference. I think there's also an somewhere in standard types perhaps, and then also the strings module. So it might be worth just checking that we're not like unnecessarily duplicating like the reference for F strings is just the reference, and that the other content can be moved elsewhere, because this might have changed last time I remember, but just from memory I think we do currently document F strings in 3 places, which is a little bit confusing.
So how about I do this? I add in just a step about T strings. Template. Template string, string literal, or T string. I should probably copy the markup here, right? DFN. Template string literal or T string is a string literal that is prefixed with T or T. These strings have internal structure similar to F strings, but are evaluated as template objects. Instead of strings. And do we already have documentation for template? No.
It's in the process of being written, but not being written yet.
So here's the stub, and I'll send a pull request with what we have, and then work on consolidating T strings and F strings. How does that sound?
It certainly works for me.
Byte strings. Okay, so I should rebase this on top of the main branch. Of course, there's a conflict in expressions. And the diff is pretty big. I wonder if this should be split into several pull requests.
what's the criteria usually for whether or not to split a doc change into several pull requests?
Whatever the reviewer prefers. They usually prefer smaller pull requests. I don't know. Adam, do you want to review this as it is?
I'd be happy. I don't mind reviewing it as it is. But if you want to spend the time splitting it, I don't mind.
I mean, that's extra work for me. If it would help you,
no,
I'm up to it.
I'd be happy to review this as it is.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Oh, I already have a branch like that, of course. Which means GitHub will not show me the URL to create the pull request, but there's a button here. So let's look at it in GitHub. So what this does is it changes the expressions grammar as well. So it was string literal, bytes literal, number, and now we have strings number. Because string concatenation is actually part of syntax and not lexical analysis, right? So strings is an actual rule in the grammar. So we move string literal concatenation, and I think this is rewritten from another section. Right, so strings can be string, f string, or t string, plus, which means you can put several strings next to each other. To concatenate string expressions at runtime, use plus. This is a pretty big example to make it clear what's a string and what's not, because if you have too many quotes next to each other, it becomes confusing. You can mix raw string, triple quota strings, blah blah blah. Bytes literals might not be combined with string literals, and I think there is some restriction on template strings. So this might have to be reviewed.
The SC just approved a restriction to say that template strings can only be concatenated with other template strings. But we can address that in the review.
Yeah, let's do that. Now grammar. So this is the full grammar specification. This one. Where we use the same notation as we now have here with everything, except positive and negative lookaheads are reserved just for this listing and cut. So this will change that, where the positive and negative lookaheads are moved to the main docs, because these are very useful for the string grammar. So this also changes the introduction, and it also changes this text about physical lines. Yeah, that could be split out, but if you, yeah, reviewing it all at once is probably better. Some rules. physical lines are ended using these line endings. Regardless of platform, each of these sequences is replaced by a single line feed character. So this is different from what was here before, because the C APIs don't need new line characters. They're fine with either line terminator, and we tested that in one of these sessions. There's a new note that these don't need to be consistent, and we have a formal grammar for the new line, which actually appears in the grammar below. Then there's a new section about source characters, which is any Unicode code point except null. And then in the section about literals, there's a bit of an introduction about string bytes and numeric literals. And then there's other literals which are lexically denoted using keywords and the ellipsis token, not lexically literals. And then we go on to strings and byte literals. So one thing I did here, Adam, is strings and bytes literals and numeric literals are at the same level as literals, which is done so that the table of contents doesn't like indent all of this under literals. Do you think that makes sense?
Yeah, I generally no objection to that. I mean, I can't immediately think of any vastly superior ways of organizing it, so yeah, that seems fine.
I mean, it could be a new chapter or something.
Yeah, that was going to be my next suggestion. It's like 5 levels of indentation which would be if we put strings under literals, is a bit excessive. So yeah, maybe literals could be its own chapter, but
or we could get rid of this.
True. But I think it's probably fine as is, especially because we've got we've got numeric literals, string of bytes, and do we treat ellipsis as a literal?
Not lexically.
Yeah, okay, in that case I think it's fine.
Yeah, that's also added in this giant pull request, by the way. So yeah, we just went through this. Oh, this comment here is outdated. What was it? This is two dots. We just went through all of this. Now the formal grammar is completely rewritten using the lookaheads, which makes it both more formally correct and hopefully easier to scan. The thing that it doesn't do is oh, it does everything. Oh, yeah. Does everything as before. Now, escape sequences are rewritten simple table and prose. We went through that. String literal concatenation is moved to syntax. T-strings is just a stub. And now here, this is the section on delimiters, where it said the period can occur blah blah blah, and then it said a sequence of 3 periods has a special meaning as an ellipsis literal, which gets its own example basically. And then there's the second half of the list as its own list. So I guess I should remove outdated comment. And so this would be this issue here. String literal and related sections. First, the string section. Is attached here. Hopefully. That's this one. Yep. Let's see if there are any issues with the Sphinx syntax. I think this is the check that does that. Maybe there's a docslint now? I don't know. Check warnings, that's the one. So this needs to wait until the whole thing is built. Okay, so I guess it's time to look at the T-strings. So we have F strings and we need to consolidate several places, you said, right? F strings
Yeah, from memory, it's standard types, and I think also the string library that I can't. Let me just check.
This one. There's the format method, which is different from f strings, I think. Oh no, the format specifications are the same. But I think it's fine if that remains here. Was there a survey in the T-string issue? There was a T-string issue somewhere.
Maybe it was called template string in the issue.
Amish Power Racing, this has a link. Write official CPython documentation for T-string. Oh, this is not the... Oh, it's not a CPython issue. That's why I couldn't find it. Alright, so there's string template lib.
That hasn't been done yet.
Huh. Why is it checked? Is there a pull request?
I think maybe they've written it, but it's an open. It's on my list of things to review, but it's not. It's definitely not been merged. But I think I would ping to review on one pull request a while ago, a week or so ago, maybe.
Right. So these two. Well, this one. We have a pull request now, which of course fails because Sphinx, but that should be easy to fix, hopefully. So what's the failure
on the
here?
F strings point? Oh, sorry.
Oh, Python grammar F string and a Python grammar T string. Right. And string concatenation, title or caption not found. Okay. Where's that supposed to lead? What? Did find a title for this? Huh? So this should be a valid link, but it didn't find this title. What's the problem here? Is this not a good heading? So this would be the same level of nesting as generator iterator methods, and apparently it needs this kind of underline. Is that it? Ah, yes. Great. Okay. And the other error was about these two things not being defined yet, so we'll just not make those links, and that should fix it. Oh, I committed on the wrong branch. Okay, so hopefully that'll pass eventually. So back to the T strings. Where are all the places?
Template strings, I think, have currently only been documented in.
Right. F strings. The grammar specification, and not much else.
I've put a link to standard types. I think so. Having now been able to get in front of the computer and look, I think my slight uncomfort, what I'm uncomfortable with rather, is that the current lexical analysis chapter, I think, goes too far. It goes beyond lexical analysis.
Oh yes.
And overlaps with the content in standard types, which I think is probably better for the pragmatic, higher level description of what f-strings are. So the content which is extraneous in lexical analysis we should simply delete, or rather ensure is contained within the standard types section.
Right.
Or at least that's my opinion. So this is clearly less rigorous than the lexical analysis bit, but the sort of the description of what things mean really shouldn't be in lexical. It should be here.
It should be here. So, well, I see this as repeated, right? Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. So I guess the idea is to do f strings now and then add t strings in a separate commit, right? That's probably the best thing to do.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
I mean, some parts of this are lexical analysis, or at least grammar. And one other thing we should do is match the match the language grammar. Right, so we should have rules named f-string middle, or well, some of these string, f-string start, f-string middle, f-string end. Yeah, we should have this rule somewhere.
Yes. Also, especially since we changed f-strings to be in the grammar.
Yeah. F-string start is a token. That's a lexical thing, and f-string end is a token. That's a lexical thing. And f-string middle then is a replacement field. That's all grammar. And f-string middle.
So I mean, in terms of, I think there is still some utility in keeping the straightforward explanation in standard types, because most users just need to vaguely know what's going on. They don't need the full lexical description. So I would probably favour, where we can, keep things simple, but also, if possible, don't make it so reduce duplication, but also make it so we don't need to force everyone to read lexical analysis just to understand f-strings.
Oh yeah, definitely. Alright, so strings then. So like before, we should start with something simple. And then go on. So what does this do? Maybe we need to replace this thing as well. Braces. maybe start with the grammar. So let me get this. And put the grammars next to each other. Of course, we'll want grammar snippets. Like that. So what we want to define eventually here is fstring start, so that's a token, fstring middle, and fstring end. And the rest can be lexical. Right? No, everything below this line is the original, and this is what I'm trying to do right now. So an f string is a literal character okay, this needs to tie into the grammar, right? F underscore string. This as replacement fields. F expression, string conversion, so do we need what? So this is the current docs, and they say f string is literal character and so on, and f string I guess is referenced from nowhere. Yeah. Oh, here it is. After decoding the grammar for the contents of the strings is blah blah blah. Right. Yeah, so they follow the grammar here.
Is that still true?
No. It's not. But that's okay, that's what we're fixing. Right, so we'll probably need to borrow something from the new string grammar. And the thing we want to define is f string here. Right, a syntactical f string, which is f string start, f string middle, f string end, right? And f string start is a token, so that's lexical, and that's also something that's already defined in the token module. This includes the prefix and the opening quotes, but none of the contents of the literal. Right, so that can be one of the f-string prefixes, and then the quote, which is one of these. And then f-string end is also one of these quotes. And of course these two need to match, which is not that easy to define in the grammar. Anyway, inside that, it's no longer true that escape sequences are decoded like in ordinary string literals, right? So you can have something like this, and if I encode the plus as \x to b, this won't work. Right. So in Python, before the new f-string pep, when was that?
312, I think. So 311 should be the old one.
Right. So 311, f-string expression part cannot include a backslash. And 312, unexpected character after line continuation character. So this is an actual Python expression now. So this is just a lie. And we need to redo this completely. So taking part of f-string, f-string middle then is one of these. F-string replacement field has some kind of annotated right hand side, which I don't think we really have in docs. It's in the grammar, but not in docs. We'll need to fix that somehow, because I think all of these have, well, I think this has a different name in docs. So let's see where that takes us. String replacement field annotated right hand side is used in valid assignment. And assignments. Okay, let's look at assignment docs. Assignment assignment expressions, and this just says expression. That's oh, that's assignment expression, which should just use expression. Should be looking at simple statements assignment statement. So assignment statement here has just start expression or yield expression. And does any of these have annotations? No. So what is annotated right hand side again? Yield expression or star expression? Okay, so this has a name. So we need to create the name for it. So this is in simple statements. And this is called, what was the name again? Annotated RHS. This one. Right. Annotated RHS is yield expr or star expressions. Yield expression, and we should keep the order, and this is star expressions plural instead of star expression. What's start expression? Probably the docs have that. Optional star and or expr. Okay. Now in the real grammar, star expressions is a comma separated list of star expression. Oh dear. So the current documentation here doesn't let you put multiple stuff after an equals, is that right? Or expr, XOR expr, and expr, shift expr. Now these are all single expressions. I guess one of them could be comma separated. Yeah, this is exactly the kind of untangling we'll need to do for this whole for all the grammar. Star expressions. So star expressions doesn't appear in the docs. Might might be good. And star expressions are just comma separated list of star expression with an optional comma at the end. But then star expression is star bitwise or an expression. And in the docs, starred expression was what? Only an or expression. What's an expression? Conditional expression, so if else or a lambda. How deep into this do we need to get? Bitwise or is named or exper in the docs. And expression, I hope, is the same. Conditional expression or lambda. Yep, that's the same thing. Okay. So star expression and stars expressions and star expression are kind of new. They might not be at the right place here, but we do need annotated right hand side to make this link here work. So let me also put in the backticks here. And by the way, everybody's quiet. I guess this is not very amusing anymore, is it?
There's just the problem with replacing the old style with the new is that at some point will hit the critical path of having to update everything at once.
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to avoid that. But yes, yeah, I'm trying to go, section by section here, starting with the lexical analysis, which is why I didn't rename this or expr to whatever's used in the actual grammar. And when we get to the definition of this or expert, then we'll need to rename it everywhere. And until then, I'm trying to add stuff so that it still makes sense, even though it'll need to be simplified later.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion. I'm seeing this most of this for the first time, so I'm just kind of along for the ride at the moment.
Eventually, this will all come together and we'll have documentation matching the actual grammar, but that's a long way away. Okay, so this is the syntactic grammar, just copied. So f-string start should be defined, then f-string middle is a replacement field, or this f-string middle here, which I guess works sort of like the string contents all the way up here. The string item, which can be a character or an escape sequence. We can just reuse string item here. Yeah, you can just reuse string item. Or it can be a long string item. Oh, I'll need some way to make that correct, because you can use string item in these and long string item in those. And the tokenizer keeps some state which isn't really appropriate for grammars. This is something I'll need to think about again. So then we have f-string replacement field, which is pretty much a normal grammar. It has annotated right hand side. It could have the equal sign. Then it has f-string conversion. That's here. Then it will have the full format specification, which can have multiple format specification, which can be these items and or the f-string replacement field. Right. So what's formally incorrect about this? Of course, this f-string start needs to match this f-string end. You don't have f-string prefix defined yet. That's so which prefixes are good for f-strings? R can be combined with F, so you can have FR or RF. You can't have byte F strings, can you?
No, byte is prohibited, U is prohibited. So it's just
R.
F and then R and then the various capitalizations therein.
Yeah, I'll just use case insensitive like here. F string prefix, so it can be F, of course it can be FR or it can be RF. Okay. So this and that needs to match, which I don't know how to encode in a grammar. And this f string middle needs to match the start and the end, which is a bit of a problem because this f string middle can have an f string replacement field whose format spec can also include an f string middle, which also needs to match this f string start. So this isn't really good for formal grammars. We essentially need to, so for a formal grammar we would essentially need to duplicate this 4 times for each of variant of the quote. Well, we'll probably need to describe this in prose. Somehow. Otherwise, so yeah, okay, so another problem here is if this is syntactic grammar and this is lexical grammar, the difference between those is white space handling, right? So if this is lexical, you cannot have a space between the f string prefix and the quote, which of course you can't. But the white space is also significant inside here, around the equal sign. So this needs to be some kind of f string equals. Which is lexical. Can be. Yes.
Is that covered by f string format spec? Because that allows to effectively. So if you ignore f string conversion, f string format spec allows for string items. So that would allow you to put spaces there, wouldn't it? Oh no, because f string requires a colon. Sorry, I missed that. Yeah, no, ignore me.
Yeah. No, it allows spaces. That's good. The problem is it retains spaces, and the spaces are significant. Yeah. Which isn't really good for syntactic grammars. Like we say that in syntactic grammars, all the spaces are already removed. So this needs to be lexical grammar. I don't want to name it as a token. Named debug or equals.
It's called the debug specifier, I think. From memory. No, I don't check that I'm right.
Let's check.
I don't think it was added in a PEP though. I think it was just added separately.
I should open this again. The equal sign. Okay.
Apparently it's in 3.8, so I'm just looking at the what's new to see if that sheds any light.
The equal sign. So in lexical analysis, it's the equal sign. In standard types,
The issue in which it was added says add equal sign for easier debugging. I've just added the link there.
and here it's called the debugging operator, which is just incorrect.
So in PEP 750, it says debug specifier.
Debug specifier.
Obviously that's T strings rather than F strings, but they share a significant amount of grammar.
Great.
So I think debug specifier operator debug seems to be relatively consistent.
This one help any. Okay. Well, for the rule name, I guess f-string debug is fine. Now let's see the introduction, how we should encode tokens. Non-letter symbol and single quotes denotes an op token. Okay. I should prefer single quotes. And a space. It's probably best on its own line. Can you use tabs and stuff around this?
You mean tabs?
Yes, you can. Use any kind of white space.
Oh, I see.
Oh dear. What can you use there?
I wonder if that's intentional or not. Gosh.
I think the actual
Is
implementation.
Question: can you just check with non-ASCII whitespace? Are the Unicode whitespace members that aren't
Oh right.
simple ones? Because if it's just ASCII, that is it's slightly simpler.
So what would that be? 0 with joiner? Invalid non-printable character.
Try en quad. Or en space or something.
Yeah, 0 with joiner.
I think it's because it's 0 with WJ they're combining.
Yeah, this one is also. But we should have a section on one space. Right. Right, the white space character space tab and form feed. Here we go. So let's make it a definition. Something like that. And then we can use white space in here. And of course this white space is significant. And it, you know, this white space is not significant. I think the actual implementation just looks at how it was formatted instead of putting the white space in some kind of data structure, but I could be wrong. Oh dear.
I'm gonna have to head off, but happy to. I'll try and get a review in for the Let's Call VR soonish.
Let's see if where it was. Oh, the tests are good now. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. Good luck on the review.
That's it.
See you.
Thanks. Yep, bye.
Ah dear. Okay, so I guess this is the place to stop struggling with the formal grammar and try something else for a start, which is like the simple explanations. For example, we can have f and that. I hope that's correct.
Now, what do they mean by f-string debug?
That's the equal sign.
Okay. I guess I have it. Oh, wait. Equal sign. White space, equal sign, white space.
That's name equals.
Okay.
Or equal sign.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, that makes more sense than debug.
What's this annotated right hand side? Why is it annotated? Oh, maybe annotated as some kind of internal implementation detail of the parser.
Oh, I suppose that would make sense.
No. Yeah, I'm not sure what this annotated thing means. The right hand side of an annotated assignment statement?
Do they mean a type annotation? Like with the colon?
Yeah. Do we have
Okay.
any other kind of RHS in the formal grammar? No, it's just annotated RHS. It might as well be just right hand side, right? What else can be after an equals? Default and parameters. Parameter capture target. Yeah, maybe just assignment right hand side would be a better name.
Yeah, exactly.
But the overarching issue is to make the documentation
exactly.
match the grammar. So
Right.
you should keep the names there, maybe at this point at least. And of course here it's not an right hand side. we should use more of this. There's string conversion, strict full format spec. And this uses F expression instead of this annotated RHS. Oh, and this name, that's not just any name. Oh no. Invalid conversion character expected, blah blah blah. Yeah. Let's make it look like more like this, like use conversion. String conversion. Which can be S, R, or A. And here, instead of annotated RHS, we do use this F expression. Oh, the equal sign is optional. And if we use this F expression instead of where was that? Not here. Simple statements here. We added these three things. We say F expression, conditional expression, or star exper. What? So this is conditional expression star or exper followed by an arbitrary number of comma conditional expression or comma star exper. So this is a gather or yield expression, conditional expression or star or exper. Do we have something like that here? Star expression is star or exper or an expression, and an expression is a conditional expression or a lambda expression. But we don't have lambda in here, and that's a mistake, isn't it? You can have a lambda. Lambda expressions are not allowed without parentheses.
Oh. Oh yeah, I suppose. Okay.
Ah, that's an invalid expression. Okay, so we can't use expression here. need to use the conditional expression. Right. A conditional expression or it can be a yield expression. Great. And so the difference between that and annotated RHS is annotated RHS has expression in here, which would include a lambda, which is wrong. Where's this string replacement field coming from anyway? Annotated RHS. A bit lost, but apparently it cannot have a lambda, so this should have conditional expression here. And you can have yield in an F string.
You can? Really? Wow.
Well,
That's kind of cool.
yes, you can. Okay. Now I guess that gave me a string. Yeah, that gave me a string. Right, but you cannot have something like this, can you? Oh, you can, because
Oh,
that'll
wow.
give you the tuple. Oh, nice. Okay. So you can either have one yield expression or a comma separated list of these two things, which I think this should really have a name, and it's a shame that it doesn't. And this whole thing then is an annotated RHS, right? A yield expression, but this includes lambda. this looks most correct. Now f-string conversion is an actual name from the grammar. It's great. F-string equal sign, I can shorten that because I made that name up. F-string full format spec is also an actual name from the actual grammar, so let's keep that. And maybe we need to break this up a little bit. Maybe like that. All right. Now string item, long string item. Oh, f string middle cannot include the opening brace. Of course, that would make it an f string replacement field. Right, but a single brace isn't allowed. Right. So this can be string item or long string item, but not this or that. Or it can be one of the double braces. Yeah, and let's see what string item is. A string character or a string escape sequence. And string character then is any source character except backslash and new line. Now maybe these need to be duplicated a bit. Bring escape sequence. These.
I wonder if we should bring up the question with the group around the term F equals sign, because it's really, the equal sign is really more of the assignment expression than a equals.
Well, that's the debug specifier. I guess we can call it that.
Oh, I see. Okay. Specifier. Okay.
And one thing I wonder about is why is the D-string grammar duplicated? Like, why don't we have f string start include the t string start? But I guess that's not for the documentation.
Yeah, maybe they didn't get around to that, but it seems like that would eventually be.
There's probably some reason. I wonder if we need it in documentation. Like, can we just add t's here? We've covered this. We've covered this. Now for the strings. Okay, I think this works for the semi-formal grammar.
Yeah, fair enough.
I guess it would be more formal to have this, but
Use the stuff in the box. Use the stuff in the box.
this works. Okay. Now we do something like say that these fields have some internal structure, and that should not duplicate the built-in types so much. So maybe we should just link that to here. Anyway, I just looked at the clock and we're out of time. So what I'll do is I'll make a temporary commit. I'm sure it'll stay as temporary in the actual pull request, but that's fine. I'll push it so that...
Well, we could mark it as draft for the draft PR.
Oh, it's draft commit. I'm not sending a pull request with this. There's still craft. Yeah, and this needs to link to the built-in types documentation, and this needs to be improved a bit, I think. And then we need to explain that this is not really formal grammar. But yeah, let's see how the review goes, and next week let's continue this. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I wish I was more familiar with the material.
Me too.
Great.
Right, well, thanks, and see you next week.